Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code PLANETPaintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
All right. Welcome back to the Planet Paintball Podcast. Please give us a like or subscribe or a rating on iTunes or Spotify. We would appreciate it. Also, the show is brought to you by 1023 Sportswear. Use code Planet Paintball for 20% off all your custom apparel. And Southwest Paintball in Bayfield, Colorado. If you're out in the Colorado area, definitely give those guys a shout. Today with me, I got Robert from the Castaways. How you doing today, Robert?
Pretty good, man. And yourself?
I can't complain. You play paintball this weekend or take it off?
I actually took it off. I was out to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coca-Cola 600 all weekend.
Nice. Just watching, or are you involved with it somehow?
Not involved, just something we've been watching. My dad and I have been going since '97, so just enjoying it.
That's a beautiful racetrack out there for sure.
Yeah.
Well, how did you find paintball, man?
Well, so it's kind of a two-parter. Back when I was in high school, I played woods ball and everything. I'm from upstate New York. We didn't really, the paintball scene up there, like Syracuse area, wasn't really a whole lot. But my family and I, we owned 30 acres of woods. So
Nice.
my uncle broke out they're the 10-shot Splatmaster paintball pistols. The CO2 tank or cartridge would be good for about 8 shots, so you'd have to change out in the middle of it. But we had four-wheelers, and me, my dad, and uncle, we'd just go in the backyard and kind of play tag with four-wheelers, give each other, 10, 15-second head start and go take off and try to hide somewhere, cut off the engine, and try to just watch the person go by you. And we always had a lot of fun doing that. But
That sounds awful.
fast forward to... Yeah, absolutely. But fast forward to 2022, I got asked to play in a first responder tournament out of Glory Road Paintball with Mitt Hill Police.
Okay.
Lieutenant William Garrison put that on.
Yeah,
And
I remember seeing flyers for it.
yeah, I work for Cabarrus County Sheriff's Office. I've been with them for about 10 years now. So it was nice to just get a group of guys together and go to that and play that and have some fun. Little did I know. So that was March of 2022, September 2022. My wife and I lost our daughter. It's kind of hard to talk about, but there was complications during birth. And so after the loss of my daughter, we dove like headfirst into paintball, and we haven't looked back since. I mean, paintball's just been a great outlet for the both of us to, kind of get out some anger, get out some, grief, and just go out there and have fun again.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. It's always tough dealing with the loss of a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it seems like you got a good community around you now.
Man, you couldn't ask for a better paintball community just in our short time of being in it. So when we first started, we were with Boss Paintball in Locust, and we played there, played our D6 season and everything there. And then we got talking, and we ended up leaving Boss Paintball to go to Palmetto Hills Paintball last year. More so, that was just for the competition aspect. Rock Hill, they got a lot of teams playing out of Palmetto between the C3XL, CFOA, the CPXL, now the AXL. Yeah, Boss Paintball was a good start for us. Shout out to George and Gail. They've always been nothing but good to Boss Paintball and the Castaways, even after we left. So
Nice.
But it's been nice to be welcomed by Pete, Catherine, Tyler, and all that too, with Palmetto.
Yeah. Well, both of those are really good fields, really ran by really good people. So
yes, sir.
you can't go wrong there. So did you guys start Castaways, you and your wife?
No, so we pretty much all the original players from Boss Paintball, we had looked to when we were moving from Boss to Palmetto. We wanted kind of to rebrand in a sense, and we started throwing names around, and of course, trying to pay homage to the Carolinas. Most of our names started with Carolina something. I mean, it just went back and forth. At one point, we had picked Carolina Sicarios. And then no sooner than we were about to send that artwork off to Carbon Paintball, our sponsor, we saw they came out with a Carolina Sicarios.
Did
So
they?
yeah. So we're like, okay, well, we can't be the Sicarios now, so we got to think of something. And we ended up thinking of the Castaways. And it was just funny because we were on the field one day and we were going through, our drills and stuff like that. And out of nowhere, someone just yells, Wilson! And that just kind of stuck. We haven't gone back from that. And we've been the Castaways ever since. So for about 2.5 years now. So
Nice. So, and were you guys just Boss Factory before that?
Yep, Boss Factory. So we started playing woods ball there, and then it got to the point where one of the refs actually played with their either D4 or D5 team and had asked me if I was interested in playing. And so I ended up starting D6 with Boss Factory, and then D5 is when we made the jump and rebranded to the Castaways.
Gotcha. And how many lines you guys got right now?
So currently we have two D5 lines and a D6 line. Last year we only had one D5 line and one D6 line. We wanted to bring in more people. Our biggest thing is we're kind of built on the foundation of family. We want to be appealing to any type of player, new or that's been in the game for quite a while. Just kind of work on player development, the fundamentals, and stuff like that. So we have our youngest kid is 13 years old, and one of our older players is 55. But the average is about in the early to mid 30s.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty big age gap right there for them.
Absolutely.
So I think that's good for teams to have that age gap. As fun as it is to see the youth teams run around. So what are you guys playing besides the AXL this year?
So our D6 plays in the CFOA out of Greensboro. Our D5 plays in the AXL, and then we've also been to kind of like break away from the seriousness of the AXL. We've been doing a lot of the C3XLs, especially because they're run by Tyler out of Palmetto. So we've been doing C3XLs, just getting lines together, just going out there and having a bunch of fun. So
Nice. Yeah,
but
that's a really fun format, and I think it bridges the gap well also in between X ball and traditional 3-man.
oh yeah, absolutely.
You guys gonna make it to any of the Blitz this year?
We have talked about it. We haven't kind of gone into detail. We've been trying to keep more focus on the AXL, especially because we haven't had that great of a start this year. A lot of our players have had kind of life happen to them, and we just haven't performed to the expectation of what our players' caliber really is. And, you know, it sucks, but you live and learn a little bit. So,
Yeah. Well, and it seems like paintball teams have when something happens to one person, it seems like something else totally unrelated will happen to another member of the team. And
yeah, that domino effect.
yeah, it has a domino effect, and it can be taxing for teams, and some teams definitely fold under the pressure, unfortunately. But it's just the way of life, and the tournaments take a lot of just committing to one league takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even having an organization like yours that's playing 3 different leagues, that's a lot. Even if it's not for every individual player, that's a lot. So how do you guys recruit normally?
So we've done everything from, just posting up flyers and holding tryouts and stuff at Palmetto. We go on social media. We haven't been as active on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like we'd like to. I kind of got I wear a lot of hats within the organization. everything from captain to team manager, treasurer, kind of, and just trying to delegate is the hardest thing, because when you want something done right, and typically right the first time, it ends up falling on me, but I'm learning to delegate. It's just taking a little while.
Takes some time. Once you get it ironed out, though, it's way easier if you got more people kind
Absolutely.
of steering the ship there, if you will, than just having it all on you.
Yeah.
So you guys have been around for 2 years now as the Castaways, right? Did I do my math there
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yep.
cool. So, and you were playing the oh my gosh, Steve's league before it was AXL. You played that league last year, yeah?
Yeah, the CPXL.
Yeah, the CPXL. So how was last year's season for you guys, like overall, before we get into this year's?
So last year, oddly enough, for our first year, went as good as it could have went. We had the talent. We had, funny enough, when we started, we had one of our previous players, Sean Troxel, end up taking over as a coach for us last year. And so he forewent playing the season so he could help coach us. Keep in mind, it was his first year coaching, but in his first year, we were able to finish third in the league. The league was
Nice.
ran on Sonoli and not PBL like it is now.
Yeah.
But we had the talent, we had everything down pat. The problem was we were our own worst critics. No sooner than we'd make it past the prelims, we'd get into our own heads and just kind of start to self-destruct. And we had a couple of seconds, maybe one or two thirds, but we kept getting beat out by teams who, they put in the work every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday. Teams like Gate City Howlers, Rice
Yeah,
and
good team.
Beans, the Coup.
Good team.
Um,
Good team.
every single time we've played all of them, I mean, it's just smash mouth paintball.
Mm.
But that's the cool thing is, iron sharpens iron. You get better playing these teams. Not only that, you get to the point where, the paintball community, I mean, you just become friends with these guys. And I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about all three organizations. I mean, they're just ran good. They really focus on
Yeah.
going out
Yeah.
there and
They're
being
all
the best that they can be. So,
yeah, I mean, all those organizations are really good organizations, and they all put in work for sure. Oh, and we're back. All right, technical timeout. Just giving you guys the tournament experience. But where were we? We're talking about your first year. A lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. Kind of having trouble keeping it together after the prelims, right?
yeah.
So, how did you work through that as a team?
I mean, the biggest thing, it's easy to walk off the field and hit the self-destruct button. You just got to pull your players in, got to talk about, you can't do anything with the points you just played. So, you have to kind of find your center again and refocus on the next point, the next match, the next tournament, whatever the case may be. And just, home, you can't get so distracted by what went wrong. You have to pick out what went right and work on being better. And in order to do that, you just got to get everybody on the same page.
Okay.
So you got to have those hard conversations that not a lot of people like to have, and just be 100% honest with ourselves and with the team as a whole.
Nice. Um, so going into this year, what's the coaching staff look like? Because you guys are a pretty big organization.
Yep.
So
So
kind of break that down for us.
So going into our first tournament, we had Sean Troxel coaching one of our lines, and we were in the search for a second coach, and we had somebody lined up, but it got to the point, life came up, something happened just a few days before the first tournament in Fayetteville. And so we tried to do the best that we could. Sean tried to coach both lines, but there was a little bit more emphasis on the line he was coaching. And because of that, it kind of made some of our players feel like they weren't being taken seriously and whatnot. So we definitely, going into this second tournament, me and a few other of the players went out and found another coach.
Okay.
So we brought in Steve Grigg he's the coach for Carolina Vanguard.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yep. He's also the head ref for the C3XL.
Okay.
Great guy.
That's probably where I've heard of him then.
Yeah, can't say enough good things about him. I mean, he came right in. I mean, arms wide open, asking what can I do to help you, help your organization, help your players, help the team. And I mean, he's been all hands on board since he showed up.
So how does because you got two teams in the same division, right? In
Yep.
Division 5. So how did you guys go about splitting the squad up or the organization up? And is it permanent or do players kind of float?
So it started off as our kind of OG players, the ones that have been there the first couple years, ended up being on the first line, or the line that we call red line.
Okay.
The second line started out as it was just going to be kind of a developmental stage for those making the move from D6 to the D5 scene.
Yeah.
After the first tournament, we had some pieces we had to move around, and we come to find out that it's not one line is better than the other line. It's both lines have a lot of talent, and we didn't recognize that at first. And that was on me as a captain and our coaching staff. And once we realized that, we've kind of turned the ship around and putting more focus with our resources to both teams.
Okay. Makes sense. So how does a typical Castaway practice go? Does the whole organization come out? Even the D3 guy, not D3 guys, the D6 guys come out and practice all at the same time, or is there some separation?
So we try to have as much as both the two D5 lines and the D6 line come out if possible. Sometimes it might be a little bit more geared towards the D5, especially if we're in preparation for a tournament. But usually we'll get with the D6 team, and we'll also hold separate practices, and we'll get those guys together and out there. And it usually starts the first half of practice. We're running drills. So we're snap shooting, we're doing off the break shots, running and gunning, communication drills, trying to get out to our bunkers, and immediately before we even shoot the first ball, we're calling out where the players are and stuff like that, and just really trying to hone in on the fundamentals, because if you can't get the fundamentals right, you're going to go out there and you're just going to look really bad. And we don't want anyone bad. We want everybody, not only the player. You got to go away. That's my wife.
Hi, wife.
But we try to emphasize on not only building yourself up as an individual, but as a team. And you can't build yourself up as a team if we don't focus on ourselves as individuals first. And so, even if we have someone who might not be as experienced as one of our OG players, we try to pair the two of them together and kind of push them to be either more aggressive, or when to know restraint and play defensive. And ironically enough, we have found that the Castaways are not good at being defensive. We're used to being on the offense, and it doesn't always translate, but we try to go out there and make the best of it.
Yeah, well, it's good that you know that about yourselves, especially with X-Ball, since the inclination can be get up and hold, right? But if you are not a good holding team, you kind of just gotta keep your foot on the pedal there and go for the mercy because you guys are playing race to 3, right?
In an AXL or DC?
In the AXL.
AXL is, I think it's a Mercy 4.
Okay, nice. Still not good at defensive. Just keep your pedal to the metal there and do what you're good at. So take us through the start of this year. We're 2 events in. The first, you kind of went through the first one that there was some trouble with the coaching and everything. But how was it after the adjustments at the last event?
The last event out of Rock Hill, the scores didn't show the caliber of play that the Castaways are known for playing. Seemed like a lot of went wrong. We had some issues where some players kind of got distracted. Some were kind of stuck in their own heads, not necessarily mentally prepared. Our teams had some issues with the reffing, but it wasn't just us. It was every team was having the same issues. So you can't sit here and blame just the reffing because it's up to us, right? We have to be out there and we have to be at our best selves in order to go out there and play the type of paintball that you need to make podium, to make it past the prelims, and to even, win it all. And that's what we want to always do, is go out there and win it all. But sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves to be the best, that we forget to go out there and have fun. If you're not going out there and having fun playing paintball, then maybe it's a sign of burnout and you need to take a step back and kind of recenter your focus.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely recenter your focus. And, I think a lot of players at a certain point put too much pressure on themselves, and like, gotta remember it's a team sport. And if you're trying to do it all yourself, you're just going to draw penalties and stuff eventually, which is going to inadvertently hurt your team for sure,
We found that out last tournament as well. Some of the calls could have been questionable, but you can't say anything after you get called out, or otherwise that flag's coming.
Yeah. And, and you said it, like, if everyone's having a rough time with the reffing, then it's fair still, right? Like,
Absolutely.
the real issue kind of becomes if you're having a rough time with reffing and other teams are not.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, I think you play paintball long enough, you'll find yourselves in one of those situations where that guy asked for a check and got checked and called out, and I asked for a check and had a hit on me that I wasn't sure about, and I got a minor for some reason. It happens, but it's just part of paintball. Got to be better than the refs at the end of the
Absolutely.
day.
Yeah.
Now, you guys arguably had move of the weekend though, with your dead man walk against the coup.
Yeah.
Take us into the pit for that one, man. Like, what game was it? What point was it? What was the mentality behind the team going into that? Because it's a ballsy move, right? I personally, I find them entertaining. I'm not going to lie. I think they're super entertaining. I've never gotten away with one, but they make a great video. That's for sure. I know they anger the other teams when it happens to them. But it is part of the game. It's within the rules. So just break it down for us. Where was the team's head at that point? Was it a team call? Was it a player decision?
So it was a team call, and it stemmed from extenuating circumstances. I'll say that when you had as bad as a showing for both of our teams in the tournament, you reach a certain level of, let's go out there, let's try something. A couple of our players had been talking about wanting to try the dead man walk, but first and foremost, we went out and reached out to the ref to see if it was even legal. We found out in the NXL it's illegal. You can't do it. AXL, they said you can give it your best shot. So we had our snake player, Kenny Church. He is a dog in the snake. And I mean, if you haven't had the chance to watch the video, I encourage you to go out and do it, because I mean, it seemed to work as flawless as possible. He went to go
Yeah.
slide into the snake tent, I believe. Um, got up, immediately took a pot off his back, made it look like he was hit or getting ready to refill. Started just walking and then lightly jogging down the left side of the field. And once he got to about their snake 20, their snake 10, he just unleashed hell and no one was paying attention to him. And he himself got a 5-pack and ran and touched the button. And I mean, the atmosphere in the pits after that, especially from the Castaways, was we just went crazy, because first of all, you don't ever think you're going to pull something off like that.
No.
So, but that was the very last match for us of the day, and it was the second point.
Okay.
So at that point, we had reached a certain level of, screw it, let's go out there, let's try whatever's going to work, and like throwing honey at the wall and hoping it sticks. And we spoke with the head coach and one of their captains of the coup after the fact, and we told them straight up, like, it's not a, like, I don't want anybody to ever feel like the Castaways mean or go out of our way to be disrespectful, because we love everybody. The relationships we have built in this paintball community is awesome, and we ended up having a talk and apologizing about it because we don't want to catch a bad rap. We're only trying to do good things over here, and it was just one of those, at the end of the day, what can we do to end on a good note? And we just went out there, and like I said, my man Kenny just carried it out flawlessly.
Yeah, well, and if you've played paintball long enough, you've found yourself in one of those situations for sure.
Yeah.
I
And we
know I
found out
have.
we found out the very next day that it was talked about more so. And I mean, everybody was saying, you know, we ain't going to let anybody walk off the field without throwing them an extra couple, because they did not want that to happen to their team.
No, from the other team's perspective, I think it's always just super embarrassing, especially in X ball, right? Like, we didn't check that guy. It's not something you really think about. It's definitely nothing you can practice, right? Because you do that in practice. It's
Yeah.
really shitty. But, it's kind of embarrassing. And, I think that's where most people's anger from it is like, we didn't check that guy off, and it bit us in the butt. Now, you guys were on the opposite side, right? Like,
Yep.
he got to come back into your pit after shooting and hitting the buzzard and everything. Okay. That'd be really ballsy if you weren't on the opposite side and did it right in front of their pit. That's awesome. Yeah. And I'll share mine. So we went and we got creamed at an event. This was probably 014 or something. It was so bad that I was like, I'm done. I'm using my autococker. And threw the autococker together and got on the box. And they said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to run straight up the middle of the field and bunker out the back player." And I didn't really expect to live past the 50, and got past the 50, got past the 40, ran by two of their guys. And next thing I didn't know, I was right there looking at the back player and putting it on them. So sometimes the off the wall stuff works, but so tell us about let's refocus on the Castaways though. What's the mentality? What's the goal of the organization overall?
So overall, just like every team, we want to go out there and we want to win. But you can't win if you're not out there having fun. And that's the biggest thing. We're trying to refocus on that. We kind of feel like we lost ourselves these first two tournaments of the year. Put a little bit too much pressure, a little bit too much emphasis on trying to go out there and be the best, that we forgot to have fun. And that showed the very last match with the coup. Is we didn't really dial up any plays more so, other than just to say, hey, we're going to run to these bunkers, see what we can see, and go from there. Uh, the biggest thing is just wanting to build up our organization. Last year, we did a pretty good job at that. We made good relationships, because that's what paintball is all about, is building relationships with people. You never know if you're going to be on the same team year after year. You never know when you might be at World Cup and, might need some help. Last year specifically, when we went down to World Cup, we formed with some of the teams out of Palmetto Hills Paintball, and we had our own little Palmetto Hills paintball team. We didn't end up getting the results that we really wanted to do, but after we were knocked out of the tournament, we were able to go to help Gate City Howlers in their pits. My wife's become a really big fan of formerly the BR girls.
Huh.
Now they're Twisted Sisters, and
Okay.
they've developed a good relationship with them. Every time we see them, they're encouraging my wife to come out and play with them. So,
From Black River, right?
yes, yep,
Okay, yeah, because there's the BR Barbies down in Georgia.
yep. So we're looking to see if that's maybe something in the future we can explore. I told her, especially after losing our daughter, my wife's let me kind of chase my dream of going out there and playing paintball these last couple years. So all I would love to do is to give her the chance to be her uh, big cheerleader in her corner, pushing her to go after something that she wants. So definitely looking into that.
So, but she plays also, right?
So she played one D6 season last year prior to becoming pregnant. And when she found out she was pregnant, she ended up stopping playing, but she's looking at getting back into it here in the coming weeks or coming months. So,
When it's safe and appropriate.
yes, absolutely. Just got to make sure she's healed first before anything.
Yeah. Pregnancy is rough.
Yep.
Glad I don't have to do it.
I know that's right.
Shout out to the girls one time. So are you guys traveling for practices? And you really don't have to up at Palmetto, but are you?
So a lot of our guys are kind of based around the Charlotte area. So a lot of us we do have some that live up towards Greensboro. We stem out as far as we have a few players out of Charleston,
Wow.
and Myrtle Beach. And we try to meet up for the most part at Palmetto Hills Paintball, but if it's a layout weekend, we try to travel up to Greensboro. You know, you can't say enough about the amount of teams, you know, D5, D4 and up that are playing out of there. So any chance you get a chance to go to Greensboro, it usually helps out with the tournament prep.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm Greensboro and Palmetto Hills are probably the healthiest tournament fields around right now, and Greensboro definitely has the upper echelon guys. You're looking at your really solid D3 crowd out there for sure. So, at least that's my perception of the area. So, and if you want more, you can go down to Bear Ridge in Georgia and grab some other great organization. But that's probably like a 5-hour drive for you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's about 3-ish for me, I think. So you guys definitely tacking on another hour minimum. So, what's been your favorite memory from paintball so far?
Favorite memory is just, every moment I get to go out on the field and play beside my brothers and honor my daughter. My daughter was born September 19th at 22. And so that's why I wear my number 19. And that's why I'll see in the back there, my old Boss
Mhm.
Factory jersey is a 19,
Yeah.
and all my Castaways jerseys are 19. But when I first got into and actually dove into speedball, one of my first speedball guns was the LV-16.
Okay.
So we went out there and I got it's like a fluorescent pink and like a baby blue for infant loss awareness. So just being able to go out there and just honor my daughter every chance I get. I'm trying to be a little inspiring to someone that might be going through the same thing, maybe different circumstances, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I found paintball when I needed it most, especially after COVID and everything. Like people's mental health these days. I know for a fact for me, I never really took mental health as serious as I did kind of post COVID. But just being able to go out there and kind of find something therapeutic that allows me to kind of work through the emotions, the feelings, whatever I'm feeling at that time, and to go out there and do it or play beside your brothers is, what I love most.
I think that's a really good point you bring up that, COVID in a lot of ways took people out of their tribe, right? Couldn't go out, couldn't do things, couldn't connect. And if you need a tribe, paintball's pretty much a instant tribe for you. You gotta cut your teeth like anything, but like there's good people. There's a lot of good people in paintball. We have our bad apples, but you know, there's there's a community to be had for sure from it, right? So it's one of those things where like the community supports each other. Like if you're having a rough time, you can call and you don't have to talk about the rough time with your teammate. Just shoot the shit with your teammate. Don't
Yeah,
matter.
absolutely.
I
I've
saw.
made so many good friends from paintball. I mean, Adam Bishop, formerly of the Bush Hogs, Justin Lamb with the Wreckers. We've gone down to World Cup a few times together. and just, I mean, just hit it off, just, hanging out, watching paintball, playing paintball, talking about paintball, whatever.
Yeah, and I saw a stat the other day, actually, like a 15-minute conversation with a buddy can do like wonders for your mental health, so like if you're feeling down, you don't have to talk about the issue. Can if you want, for sure, but just a 15-minute conversation with someone can brighten your day, man.
Yeah, really
So,
goes a long way.
and that's important. So, you guys planning on a World Cup trip this year with the organization or with Palmetto kind of coming together again, possibly?
So we're trying to, the interest is definitely there. We probably won't have enough to send like two teams, but we're very interested in at least maybe sending one team. At the very least, going down there and watching paintball together, just a week or weekend of hanging out with the guys, getting their Airbnb and just watching paintball all day, just to kind of build that chemistry, that bonding, that, everything you look for and want in your teams. So,
Yeah. Well, to quote my brother, World Cup is a vibe for
yes.
sure. You can, even if you can make it just for a day and you've never experienced World Cup, I would highly suggest it. So playing it's a whole different thing. If you just going down to hang out and watch and see the big show is something else. So
And it's crazy how far it brings people out from. I mean, we've met people
yeah.
from New Zealand, Australia, I mean, you name it, just good people just sharing the same love for the sport.
hmm Yeah, a ton of teams from South America come in. The Philippines always have a really strong showing. There's always, I feel like there's a bunch of German and French people that come down for it, like across the divisions, So it really is a international event, and it's a very cool thing. Plus, you get to see all the cool stuff. So I don't know if the deals are as good as they used to be back in the day, but I went to World Cup and bought a couple things, and then they went on sale for Christmas, and I was like, "What the heck?" I thought here was the good deals, but I guess it is the way of the internet now. So, what gun are you shooting these days?
So I last year at the end of last year I still had a CS3, but after my buddy let me shoot his R5, I had to jump on the
Okay,
R5 train. So
yeah,
yeah,
nice. You getting the new bolt for it?
I am working on it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna take a little time, but I'm working on it.
All right, fair enough. What made you want to switch in between the R from the C3 R5?
Biggest thing is, I mean, it's generally just about the same ergonomics and everything, but it's just a lot softer shot. Just playing the home position like I do for my team, I generally just like something with a little bit of a softer shot, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with the R.
Okay, nice. Is it more lobby or just a softer shot?
I'd say just a softer shot.
Okay,
I feel like you can help lob it a little better than you could with the CS.
okay. I know the back guys like the lob.
Yeah,
If you can get to go up and over, it can be useful, right?
totally.
So, what you guys home fields Palmetto? So, do you guys as a team go out and play red versus blue?
So we actually, thanks to Pete, Catherine, and Tyler, instead of playing red versus blue, we treated it as a fundraiser for our team. So we went out there and we sold a bunch of food. I mean, hamburgers, hot dogs, chili, you name it. And all the proceeds from that went directly into our team account for the year.
Okay, to
So,
kind of lessen the blow of tournament time, entry fee, and pain and all
yes.
that. Nice.
Yes, absolutely. We've been very fortunate enough between that and bringing on some sponsors this year also.
What are the sponsors for this year?
So Castaways are repping Carbon Paintball, definitely Palmetto Hills Paintball, and we've also picked on some, I say, some hometown sponsors. Got a buddy of mine that owns a gaming channel. It's TJZ Gaming, and he does everything. I think he plays Xbox or something. So if you're into that, I've definitely kind of gotten onto that a few times with him just to have some fun, but definitely go give them a follow on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, you name it. TJZ Gaming. We have Jordan Pierce with Farm Bureau Insurance. If you're looking for someone that can help you find some insurance, whether it be life, home, auto, health, he's your guy. And then we also have Chip and Scott, Scott Spanauer of what is it? Hendrick Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram out of Concord.
Nice. Yeah. Big dealership.
Yep. So they personally helped me this year get into a new truck after I had an accident driving north. So
Okay. Nice. Well, it's good to have the sponsor then, huh?
yes, absolutely.
um, so without going into like the numbers of the sponsorship or anything, how did you cultivate those sponsorships?
So the biggest thing I think is important is people, if you don't go out there and sell yourself, you're not going to do anything. What people have a hard time doing these days, I feel like, is just putting yourself out there saying, hey, this is our team. This is what we're looking to do this season. Would you like to be a part of our team? So being able to offer them different levels or different tiers of what of the sponsorship goes a long way. Whether that be maybe a bigger emblem on our jerseys, but whether it be social media posts, stuff like that. Anything we can do to help them while also helping us.
Okay. Nice. So you do have like a tiered system you present to sponsors, though?
Yep. And we reached out to a bunch of people, both personally and privately through emails, just sending them kind of a letter of interest to see if that's something they're interested into or not. You're going to get a lot of no's along the way, but you can't let that deter you from going out there and presenting yourself to these people and these
Yeah.
companies.
Well, it's kind of like cold calling. If you've ever had a job cold calling, like you just gotta get used to the word no and keep going. So it's actually a pretty good training for paintball, and the fact that hey, what happened last time, moving forward. So, do you primarily handle all that, or do you give like stuff out to the guys and they can go out into the world and find stuff?
So we've kind of done a little bit of both at the very beginning of the season, more so I'd say like December, kind of the off season. We put the feeler out there of, hey, we're looking to do this season. We're looking to try to bring in some hometown sponsors. And not only did some of our players give us ideas and stuff to reach out to, but they even were willing to go out there and talk to people themselves. So it's been a mix between them and me. And like I said, just going out there and shaking hands, putting names to faces, putting yourself out there is the biggest thing that I kind of feel people these days have a hard time doing.
Yeah. So, is the Castaways LLC or anything like that? No. Okay.
No, just run by me, our coach Sean Troxel, and now Steve Gregg.
Cool.
So
So if someone wanted to get involved with the Castaways, A, is there room? B, how would they go about doing it?
so the biggest thing for us, there's always room on the Castaways. We try to build our foundation on family, try to appeal to new and experienced players. Like I said, we our youngest guy is 13 years old. Our oldest player is 55. If that's not a testament to we're kind of willing to take everybody. We want to help people along their paintball journey grow and become better paintball players. Even if it's we're kind of used as a stepping stone, that's perfectly fine because I don't want to hold anybody back from achieving their full potential. But I know the more you grow, the more you kind of have to learn to delegate, and that's
Yeah.
kind of in limbo where I am right now is learning to delegate and put that trust in other people. And we just made last week just made new captains, so we have a captain for our blue line. I'm the captain of the red line, and then we also made a captain for our D6 line.
Okay.
So we got 2 coaches and 3 captains right now.
All right. Well, that's a good start on delegation.
Yep.
How does it work with practice out there at Palmetto? Because there are a lot of teams. Like, do you guys have slotted field time or?
So we don't have slotted field time, but what we do have at Palmetto, they have a practice field that's down past the 2 fields that they have.
Okay.
One's usually one that you can play on, and then the other one, they take very good care of their grass. That's one
Yeah.
thing I can't say enough about Pete, Tyler, and Catherine is when it comes to tournaments, I mean, you're playing on, the best grass you can. And that's the nice part. But usually it just kind of depends. If it's a layout weekend, just like a couple of weeks ago, we went out on a Saturday, and normally our practices are on Sunday, but we kind of switched things up a little bit this year. And going out there on a Saturday, not a lot of people go out there Saturday for whatever reason. I mean, remains to be unseen. But we were one of like the only teams out there, and being able to go out there and just utilize the normal playing field to be in our favor just really helped the team. But usually there's a good crowd, especially on Sundays, and it's just all about jumping in the rotation. You got the Royals, you got Crisis comes out there, Evolution. You just got a lot of teams. Carolina Nightmare, just a lot of teams coming out of there. So it just breeds paintball in Rock Hill. So
Yeah. Yeah, they have they got the crown right now, as far as I know, of the most teams out there. So, I think the Sunday thing is just a holdover from uh, a forgotten era in paintball where we didn't have special fields for tournaments. Fields made their money with rentals and stuff on Saturday, and then Sunday was the day that the team guys would come out. And I think it's one of the few things that has stayed along that all this time, is that Sunday is for competitive play. So, even though now it's not really a thing. What's going on? Sorry, it gave me a weird a weird sign. So should be fine though. If not, we can always redo a section. So what's the future for Castaways? What's it looking like in a year or 2 years? Or are we thinking that far?
so I never want to think that far because a lot of things can happen between now and then.
That's true.
We are looking at doing some things this year specifically. We're in talks with Jared Lackey at trying to get a camp going
Okay.
for the Castaways. It's just a matter of locking down or setting a date that works for both of us, especially with his NXL schedule. So, but he lives right in the area. And that's the other thing is just having so many pro players or even lower tier players out of this area. I mean, you got Chris Shear, you got Kyle Bowen, you got a lot of guys that just randomly show up to Greensboro, Palmetto, whatever it may be, just to go out there and run some points. And anytime you can take any tips from a pro, I mean, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Definitely helps you
Yeah.
out.
If you are lucky enough. Yeah. If you got a pro at your local field, definitely pick their brain. And I haven't heard of a pro turning down someone, during a when they're just out there practicing on their own. They're almost more than happy to help you out and give you some pointers. So
The vibe I've gotten from all of them is just a matter of what can I do to give back to the sport that's given them so much. Paintball's given me so much in just such a short period of time. And like I said, anytime you can pick their brain, just talk about whatever it may be, it ends up usually working in your favor.
yeah, yeah, and we got some great guys around. I didn't realize that Bowen was right there in Charlotte area for some reason. I don't know why I didn't know that. But all right, well, anything else you want to talk about?
That's about it.
All
If
right.
you're looking for a home, Castaways, you can find a home in the Castaways, and you can reach us out on Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be, and you might talk to me, you might talk to our coaches, but always looking to grow the game and give back to the sport as best as we can. Keep
Awesome.
Carolina paintball growing. So
Yeah, it seems to be on the up and up. I'll give it that. Shout out the sponsors one more time, and
all right,
we'll take us out.
we got Carbon Paintball. We got Palmetto Hills Paintball. We have Farm Bureau Insurance with Jordan Pierce. We got TJZ Gaming. And last but not least, we got Hendrick Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out of Concord, North Carolina.
Awesome. Well, and we will see you again on the Planet Paintball.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code PlanetPaintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up, save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast